Get ready to crumble!
I'm Joshua Kemble, and welcome to Joshua Kemble's live stream. I've been a freelance illustrator and graphic designer for over 20 years. I was an art director for 9 years. And when I'm not art directing and working on illustrations and graphic designs, I'm working on comic books and graphic novels, and that's usually what I do during my streams. And while conversations can go all over the place on this stream, from spicy and entertaining to goofy and silly, one thing stays consistent throughout every stream. I'll always be working on art. So pull up a chair, get your art supplies out, and get ready for an entertaining show that'll keep you company while you work on your own personal art projects. This is Joshua Kemble's Art Stream. All right, welcome to my live stream. I don't know how this is going to turn out, so it's kind of an experiment with OBS Direct, because basically I'm not sure how I get rid of this delay. I guess I'll just kind of deal with it. So basically, like, OBS goes directly or streams directly to, let me try to change this to where maybe on the audio, because I'm hearing a lot of slapback. A little bit of an experiment here, guys. Okay. I'm still learning the audio properties. So if you guys are on stream or watching this or in the chats, let me know if you can hear what is going on. Let's see here. Okay, I'm gonna just deal with the kind of slapback or whatever. There's kind of a weird delay on the vocals, so for now I'll have my headphones off just so that, you know, I can hopefully get audio through without kind of getting too distracted. So I'm just going to take these slightly off my ears. Let me know in the chats if you guys can hear me. So what I'm doing is doing OBS Direct because StreamYard has decided that it would be a great idea to basically like charge like ridiculous amounts of money to continue StreamYard. So I wanted to see what streaming directly to OBS is like. And so far it seems pretty intuitive, but we'll see if we can kind of get through a live stream like it. I'm actually really excited about it. So we'll see how it goes. It's a big experiment, but let me know if you're watching, if you have any trouble with audio or anything like that. Yeah, it might take me a few seconds to just kind of get in the flow of like a new stream kind of thing. So let me have some coffee real quick. All right. So here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to work on Not Death But Love, The Strange Supernatural Story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning, which I just saw is on Amazon for pre-order, which is really weird. But it's from Turner Publishing. And it's exciting. It's a book I've been working on for years, for quite a while, actually. And so I'm pretty stoked about kind of getting it out. But I'm just going to kind of assume that the audio is working okay, and I'm just going to kind of vibe with it and get used to this new platform. Usually I use OBS streaming through StreamYard, and then I'll kind of get this going. So it's a little bit of an adjustment. I'm sorry if this beginning and intro is a little choppy, but we should be able to, if I'm correct, I think everything I've been doing should be doable through StreamYard. And then I think Scott Cirkland and I are going to test out streaming with multiple people and see how that kind of goes too. So we'll see. I don't know. Hopefully you guys are hearing audio. Let me do a real quick check. I have it pulled up on YouTube, so I'm going to hear like a triple slapback, but it's just, I want to make sure this is going to work. Oh, okay. I just checked. Yes, audio is going through. We're set to go. So that slapback, I'm going to have to figure out the audio settings so that I'm not hearing my voice reflected, but I think we're good to go. So let's just get into art. My goal today is to basically color this comic. And let me see if I can, I know I have the access to the YouTube control panel, which is excellent. So yeah, I think we're pretty much good to go, which is really exciting. That is super exciting. Okay. I think we're good to go. So, okay. I'm going to basically start coloring Not Death But Love, the strange but supernatural story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. I usually have my glasses on for this, but I'm realizing now that maybe that's not the best idea to have glasses on. I'm going to just take the headphones off and we'll just kind of roll like that for the stream. So hopefully it's not picking up the headphones. Here, I'll put them back here. Okay. This is exciting. I'm sorry. I've never done direct from OBS to YouTube, and it seems kind of seamless. And I did change the settings. I don't know if you guys saw Artcasters yesterday, but the settings for the stream were having I was having issues with lag, and hopefully those won't continue because a lot of it had to do with my memory allocation for when I was working in Photoshop. And so I found a real quick fix, which was basically to change Photoshop to not be just like pulling directly from the video card. I think I had Photoshop running from the video card in the newer version of Photoshop because I'm on an older Mac, just could not handle it. So we'll see if we see delays. I'm going to just minimize the YouTube channel preview here, but I want to be able to see chats. So, yeah, and why don't I set a goal too? Let's start a goal for super chats. And let's say the goal is, I'm going to just try for a goal of one super chat in 45 minutes. And we'll just say all the colors. So anybody who does it. And if you super chat, let's see, I'll host a brief Q&A session. Wow, I almost wrote I'll host a brief Q&A section, and that wouldn't have been good. Okay, so I'm going to start the goal. And again, if this seems awkward or weird, it naturally would be. The one thing that also sucks is I'm not sure if I can stream directly to Twitch, so this will be the first time I'm only streaming to YouTube. So yeah, we'll just kind of see how it goes. I really do wish, I thought I would have access to the chat screen, but I can't seem to access the chat screen through OBS, so I'm going to figure that out. Okay, you guys don't need to know all that. I'm going to take off viewing the guides, and then we're going to just take off show guides, and then I'm going to basically pull color from this and put it into our new panel. This is what I finished during Artcasters yesterday. I wasn't actually working on this too much. Let me see if we got chats going on at all. Oh, here, I'm going to put on pop-out chat because that's easier. Yes, pop-out chat. Yes, okay, so I have chat popped out. So hopefully I'll be able to kind of get that going. I won't be able to share comments directly, but I'll just read them. So if you super chat or anything like that, I'll read the comments. And again, yeah, we're working on Not Death But Love, the strange supernatural story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And the exciting news that I found out today from because I was at work today, So I wasn't able to make it to the marketing meeting. So I'm going to be filled in after the fact. But apparently, Not Death But Love, The Strange Supernatural Story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning is up on Amazon for pre-order. Which means I got to haul butt to get this thing done. So we're going to kind of start to work on coloring the pages, and we'll see how that goes. Let me minimize this even more. I just want to make sure I have YouTube pulled up because, again, this is the first time I'm kind of having this specific system going. Okay, so I'm going to work on getting page 161 colored. So let's do that. We'll start with just the color white and kind of work from there. Yeah, so today's been really interesting. I had kind of quite the day. It was like a weird, fulfilling, very busy, very eventful day. I recorded a little bit of music that I might play for you guys. I know that I can do that through stream or through OBS in a different way than I used to on StreamYard, but I should be able to play breaks and all sorts of stuff like we were doing on the old stream through here. And in a weird way, I feel like it's like liberation from paying like so much money. Again, StreamYard has been really good to us throughout the years. The way it worked was like Corey Scott and I would kind of pitch in for the premium like StreamYard account, and it was great for artcasters. But I think as we've gotten older and StreamYard has just gotten progressively more and more expensive, it just makes more sense for us to go direct from OBS. And now that I'm seeing how simple or intuitive this seems to be, we'll see if there are hiccups. And it also seems to be flowing a lot smoother, like the connection's a lot smoother. We'll see if this is sustainable, but I think this is going to be possibly the way of the future for future streams and stuff. But it's going to take me a few minutes to just kind of get used to having only OBS as like my main deck to kind of navigate. But I think it'll be cool. I'm sorry, I keep talking about OBS for so long. So we're going to start getting into color. And I'm going to talk about Labor Day and guitar acquisition syndrome, which is a real thing. If you guys are new to this stream, so this is me. And then down here is basically my Wacom tablet. And then right over there is basically just the art that I'm working on and stuff like that. And what we do on this channel is just like work on comics. Hopefully you guys are creatives if you're tuning into this. I really enjoy in life in general, basically like inspiring other creatives to work on projects. I am by no means a perfect, amazing creator. I definitely have had a lot of experience in comics. I got the Zarek grant a long time ago. And ever since then have been always carving away, like no matter what I'm doing professionally, when I was a full-time illustrator, when I was a graphic designer, when I was an art director, all of this time, I was always kind of in the background working on, what am I doing here? I'm like losing, I'm losing my mojo and flow just because of the new system. So, bear with me. And Photoshop's going to be a little bit slower, but it shouldn't freeze, which would be, you know, kind of a big win for me. Okay, so I've been doing comics for a long time, so the whole goal of this stream and one of my big goals in life, like I teach art nowadays, and one of my passions is finding other people who maybe have something they feel like they were supposed to do with art or with comics or with writing, and maybe they've been delaying on doing it. You know, just kind of like, you know, like life gets in the way of kind of doing these like big projects and stuff. And I always kind of think one of the big functions of my live streams is hopefully to like inspire people to make comics, to like hopefully make books, make other things. I don't know why it feels so weird to be streaming with a new platform. So bear with me. It's gonna be a learning curve for me. Because I've just gotten so comfortable with using the StreamYard thing that like I'll turn on a stream and I can just flow. But this is like slightly different. But yeah, so like one of my goals is like to hopefully inspire people, and not just inspire people, but also just kind of like, I think a lot of the time with creative projects, you get a lot of steam from just seeing other people make stuff. Like for me, I've been making music a lot in the last few years. And by the way, this will be great for streaming music too, I believe. But for me, like one of the cool things, even with music, is like when you hear other people, when you know other people are making music, you're way more likely to like get inspired and want to make music. Whereas if you don't, then it's going to be like hard to find that that beautiful excitement in the things you're doing around you. Let me mute this. I was trying to pull audio from my video capture device, and so I just turned that off. So hopefully that wasn't conflicting audio-wise. The audio controls on this are really intuitive, so I'm kind of excited about that. Okay. Just kind of it's like I was kind of explaining to Scott the other day that I feel like StreamYard was like the equivalent of like if somebody doesn't know Photoshop and they do one of those like weird kind of early, I'm trying to remember like what these things were called back in the day, but they had all these cheap knockoff versions of Photoshop that were like real user friendly, but like they had like crazy limits on what you could do. And there was like a learning curve when I was younger to like trying to learn actual Photoshop from like whatever the photo editing thing was that we were unfortunately having to use. I feel like StreamYard is kind of the equivalent of that. Like the more I kind of look into OBS, it seems like there's a ton of possibilities within OBS that I've almost, because I've gotten so comfortable with StreamYard, like I've like failed to learn all of these things. I might take off my glasses too because it's late. It's been a long day. I get tired from wearing glasses. I'm an old man, so I can barely see. Well, no, I can see. But for what I'm doing here, I don't think I'm going to need like crazy vision. So I'll probably be like bouncing back and forth from glasses to no glasses. So yeah, so anyhow, like that's long story short. The point being, I'm excited about kind of learning a new thing. I know Corey's been, singing the praises of OBS and kind of got me and Scott into it. My friend Corey Kerr, but it's a new experience for me. Okay, so let's talk about guitar acquisition syndrome while I color, and then if you guys tune in, let me know. It seems kind of slow right now, but hopefully we'll get some traffic moving. Usually these streams kind of pick up as I'm going. People kind of pop in and all that fun stuff. Anyhow, long story short, I love guitars. I've talked about this a ton on stream and stuff, probably to the chagrin of a lot of people, because most people who tune into my channel aren't tuning into it for music. You guys are tuning into this for hanging out and having somebody to draw with or work along with. By the way, while I'm talking, I'm flat coloring this page. But the thing that I find basically about guitars is like there's a certain breed of person, and it's not just a person who plays guitars, it's just a person who loves guitars. Like there's like a certain kind of person, and unfortunately I think I fall into this domain, who just love the art of a good guitar or even a bad guitar. Like I just kind of enjoy the process of like messing with a new guitar and kind of seeing what makes it work, or like fixing up old guitars. I'm just kind of obsessed with guitars. Like, this is just something in my personality. And so for anybody who's in that boat, you'll know that this day and age right now is dangerous. It's dangerous for guitarists. And by day and age, I just mean this week, because we have Labor Day coming up. And, man, I've been eyeing Stratocasters for some reason. Philip, how's it going? Philip's in the chats. He just said good evening, Josh. How you doing, Philip? If you can't hear me or there's any issues, I'm doing this a little different. I'm doing this OBS straight to my YouTube, just kind of to get my stream going, and also to get used to not using StreamYard. And it seems to be working pretty well. I know I'm going to have to change my audio settings, because for some reason in the audio, I'm hearing my voice, and it's actually not a benefit to like actually hear myself during the stream, because there's a delay between when I talk and when the monitor is playing. And so I definitely want to make sure that I get that fixed before we do Artcasters, because I'm going to need these things, these cans on my ears to kind of go. But the plus side is it doesn't seem like a crazy curve. I think because it's different, I'm having a little bit of the new streamer thing. I remember the first few times I did streams feeling like slightly like nervous or like strange about the process, and then you get used to it. Or like the first time you do a vlog or something, right? And I'm having a little bit of that with this new program, but I think it'll become really intuitive. And it seems like it's running really well. And I think maybe even the definition like might be better. So the resolution might be better. And then I'm avoiding my glasses right now because my eyes hurt. I don't know if you guys have that, those of you who rock the glasses, but I definitely get a little bit of fatigue from wearing glasses like throughout the day. So anyhow, what I was saying is Labor Day is dangerous for people with guitar acquisition syndrome. Like, it's so dangerous because a lot of really good guitar sales happen around this time. And then, Sweetwater can be really dangerous. It's like the big mega corp guitar company, but here, well, not guitar company. They're like they basically are like the biggest music store, right? They have the biggest share of the market. I think like a third of the market goes through Sweetwater. But I don't want to talk badly about Sweetwater, because I think that even though they're kind of like a mega corp, if you look into their business and why it kind of blew up, it's kind of because, like, I remember years ago when Sweetwater was kind of starting up, just needing to like order strings or something, and ordering strings and then having a sales rep like walk me through on the phone like qualities of strings and like help me figure out like what gauge of strings I would use. And it's like, this is like for like a $5 sale. Philip said, "Hey, I just got a phone call. I'll be back shortly." Nice. Jim, how's it going? Can you hear me? I know Jim's joining in the chats too. At some point, I'm going to find a plugin where I can show chats because I'm doing OBS Direct, guys. So this is new. This is a new country for me. So bear with me, and we'll try to add some bells and whistles. I think we might be able to even add some things that StreamYard wasn't even able to have. But anyhow, welcome to the chats, guys. It's nice to see you. So basically, StreamYard, I mean, not StreamYard, Sweetwater was like kind of built itself into a huge business just by like treating musicians really well. Like I've never had a bad experience ordering from Sweetwater. And the thing that was weird was that first time I ordered strings, like back when they were a much smaller company, not only did they have like a sales rep for like they're probably making like $5 profit off the sale of the strings. So it kind of didn't seem to make sense at the time. But they'd even call like afterwards and be like, "Hey, how'd those strings work out for you?" And not trying to push a sale or anything like that. Just sincerely like, "Hey, did those arrive okay? Is it what you needed? Is there anything else we can help you with? And like, it was almost like a doctor visit. It was really weird and cool. Like a good doctor, not a, I guess saying a doctor visit could bring up all sorts of negative thoughts to people. But anyhow, so Sweetwater's just, because of that, because they have excellent customer service, and they tend to do this thing with their inspections too, where they inspect the guitars and they do setups. So like when your guitar arrives, it's usually like really quick, and when they call to make sure that it arrived. And anyhow, point being, they have this excellent service, and because of that, compared to like the service you'd usually get at like one of the mega stores, like Guitar Center or something, was just like night and day. Like and so very quickly, Sweetwater, I think, by capitalizing on the online market and also just having like insanely great, knowledgeable customer service reps, has basically become like the mainstay for like ordering any music equipment. And they have great deals. So the problem is, like, around Labor Day, I'm looking on Sweetwater and like I'm looking at all the different guitars, and I have my eye on a specific Stratocaster that I've been wanting since I was a kid. And the other thing is, they have these like pay in 48 or 45 days kind of thing, or 45 months, sorry, with zero interest kind of thing. And so, of course, I've been able to acquire some like more expensive guitars just by like, being patient and being like, I'm going to buy this with this, 48-month financing, and in 6 years I'll have it paid off kind of thing. And I've paid off a couple of the guitars. So I'm feeling like I have this deposit in my account, and I know this is a very dangerous thing. Jim said, Josh, no more guitar. You're grounded. Landon said, if Sweetwater sent you a $1,600 bill for the strings afterwards that you weren't expecting because you didn't meet your deductible, then I'd have it would have been a bad a bad doctor visit. Yeah, exactly. But anyhow, I'm just saying, like, they're a really good company. They're very good to musicians, and that's paid off very well for them. And I've seen interviews with their CEO, and it's like surprising, like with the size of that company. Like maybe I'm just like drinking the Kool-Aid or something, but I think that they're still kind of maintaining they're kind of like customers first, like almost like treating the market like a small guitar store, even though it's like a giant mega corporation with like, warehouses that are like huge. They still are training their sales reps on like everything related to music. And it still feels like a very human experience, like ordering musical instruments from them. The only reason I was telling that story is just to say, just because they're a huge dominating force in the market, I'm a big fan of Sweetwater, and most people I know, now that I'm teaching high school and stuff, I bump into a lot of music teachers and stuff, and it's like almost every musician I know like swears by them as just being really reliable, knowing how to set up and take care of instruments and make sure you get set. And if there's any issues, usually they get them back to you. By the way, this is not an ad paid for by Sweetwater. Like I have nothing to do. I would take a Sweetwater sponsorship if they offered it, but this is just my own opinion, my own experience with them. But anyhow, the dangerous thing for me is the 48-month financing or whatever, and then being clear of a couple of those. Of like the bigger, guitars. Like I got a Gibson a couple years back, and that's paid off now. And then a Telecaster, a Fender American Telecaster, and that's paid off. So it feels like cool. I can add one, because it's only like, like a small amount every month. I do not need another guitar. So like Jim was saying, Josh, no more guitar. You're grounded. Agreed. I feel like if I get a guitar, I feel like I need to set up the rule that if I'm going to obtain a guitar at this point in my musician life, I'm going to have to get rid of one. that's kind of, I think, what. But anyhow, I was just saying happy Labor Day weekend. I think a lot of us have a 3-day weekend. I hope most of us have a 3-day weekend. Thank you to unions for making that happen, guys. All my union brothers and sisters out there, for making the 3-day weekend exist on this beautiful 3-day weekend coming up. But I will say, man, it is dangerous turf for somebody with guitar acquisition syndrome. Who is asking me, do you play the piano? This is the only downside. I got to figure out a good spot for my chats so that I can read it. And I might have to put on my glasses again just to like be able to read the chats. Oh, Landon said, do you play the piano, Josh? No, I wish I did. That's a good question, Landon. Piano is, we're going to try. I'll try to play you guys a little bit of what I tracked, when I got home today. I did take a nap because I'm an old man. And also I should mention the chats just one more time. Not Death Beloved, Strange Supernatural Story for Elizabeth Barrett Browning, the book I'm working on, is available for pre-order on Amazon right now. I was shocked. I'm not going to really be sharing out the links or anything, but if you look it up on Amazon, just Not Death But Love, by Turner Publishing, it's there, like cover and everything. You can order it hardcover or soft. And it's going to be a 240-page book. And I am going to be hauling butt on it this weekend and other weekends, just to kind of get it done as soon as possible. But it's exciting. That definitely feels real. It feels real when a book's actually listed. You know what I'm saying? So, I didn't know that yet because, again, there was like a marketing meeting at like 7 or something this morning. And or not 7, 8 something. I don't even remember when it was, but I remember it was when I had classes, so I couldn't attend. But I'm pretty stoked. It sounds like they want to put some marketing into it too. And it is going to be a beautiful book. I've been working pretty hard on it. Landon said, wow, 240 pages. That's amazing, Josh. Not yet. It's not amazing till I finish. And 10 of those pages I don't have to draw, thank goodness. So actually like 20 of those. Like the last few pages of that 240 are not art pages, which is kind of nice. So I'm excited about that too, because yeah. Jim said, I'm going to buy you a theremin and that will be all you need. If you buy me a theremin, I wish I had like that almost sounds like a, like, that sounds almost like the beginning of a limerick or like a love poem where it's like, I'll buy you a theremin and it'll make you a better man. I don't know. Like, it just sounds like an old, like, I'm sorry. It just sounds like an old Irish limerick. If ye buy me a theremin, ye be a better man. as they say in the old country. Anyhow, if you buy me a theremin, I'd be stoked. I know that Kevin Cross just got like a really cheap theremin, and he was telling me it's pretty amazing. They have like really, really cheap ones, but theremins are amazing. Don't even get me started, Jim, because I have guitar acquisition syndrome, but also weird instrument acquisition syndrome too, and that can be a disease. A disease, my friends. My friends. These are your friends. Did you guys ever find it? Here's the thing about the Emperor that from I am so rambly today. I'm starting to feel a little more cozy with the OBS streaming though, and I feel like the connection's going pretty good. And the cool thing that I'm noticing when you stream direct is it tells me that my feed is excellent, which is great. But also it doesn't hurt that I changed my my settings. My poor old computer, I had Photoshop running direct to my video card, which makes it run a lot faster. But that's pretty much telling my computer, like, you have to run like 4 cameras and also Photoshop all on this poor little
part of your computer. So changing it up has, I think the performance is improved. Hopefully it's making for a better stream for you guys too. But I do want to figure out a way to share chats. I you know, in the stream, that would be cool. 'Twas a September monk when I bought my love a theremin by the old river, is what Jim said. I love that, Jim. I love that for you, Jim. Have you ever had somebody say that? Like, it's like a very passive. That's like a passive aggressive thing that sometimes people say is like, I really love that for you. It's like, wait, for me? What does that mean? Anyhow, Philip said, sorry about that. I'm back now. You don't have to apologize, Philip. You are free. You are a free person. You are free-willing Philip Chandler. And you are free to do as you wish. Nobody owns you, Philip. Landon said, I wasn't a natural at playing piano, can't read music, but I'm a musician and have been playing piano more in the last few years. It's a great way to write songs and decompress for me. Yeah, I know that my mom has a piano at her house that at some point we might have at my house, because like nobody in my family, like my sisters got piano lessons when they were kids. And it's weird to say that because like we were pretty poor, but my aunt was a pianist. And so, like she taught piano. That was her job. Like she was a piano teacher. And so I think she gave us like some crazy discount. So it was like, I think like $5 a lesson or something. And my sisters did it and they hated it. And so when I was younger, I was like, all right, it's my turn to do piano lessons, right? And they're like, nope, we're not doing that again. This is like the third child thing. So anyhow, we had a piano from that experience, and it was just really piano is a really good instrument to know, because I feel like it's a lot easier if you learn piano to learn any other instrument, because you're learning multiple rhythms and scales and all of that stuff, and that can kind of translate to like any instrument. Whereas I feel like going from a mediocre guitarist who knows like maybe 2 or 3 chords. Like I'm not like a guy who knows scales really well. And so for me to go from that, like a guy who I can read chords and I can read like tablature, and that's about it. But I can't read music. So like I can read beat music for like the music notes that were for percussion in band. Philip said, I think it was just the timing of that call was frustrating. Yeah, I can definitely understand that. But anyhow, so anyhow, we're just kind of like my only point in all of that was I do kind of wish I had those lessons when I was a kid. I probably would have been into it because I liked music. But I do potentially have a piano that might end up at our house at some point. And at that point I would definitely noodle around on it, because like it's fun to bang around on a piano, but I wouldn't say I know how to do it. Like I probably would just annoy everybody in the household. It's probably a good thing we don't have a piano in the house. I can't remember, but there's a James Brown song, and I'm trying to remember what he says, but he says something like, something, piano, huh, piano. But I can't remember what he says before piano. And I wanted to shout it out, but I just can't. But yeah, whenever I see like looking at like, I'm just gonna say I'm no mink fungus, okay? I'm no mink fungus on the piano. There's a man named Jim Lujan who can play jazz piano beautifully. He did the soundtrack to The Full Fungus. So, you know. Philip said, I think it was just the timing. And he said, I took lessons on organ when I was you back in the 70s. Oh, young, I think, not me. Philip's like, back when I was you. Like, in the past when I was Philip Chandler. He said for about 15 years, it was one of those home organs they don't make anymore. Yeah, I think you were mentioning that, Philip, because I got that little cord organ. I got like a mini cord organ. I'll show it on stream sometime. But yeah, that thing's awesome. It's really cool. You guys are too much fun. I gotta focus for like 2 seconds. It would be funny though, Philip, if it was like back when you were me and we had some kind of weird, like, are you me from the future, Philip? Philip's me from the future. You're like, I've come from the future to warn you. Don't start streaming, Mr. Kemble. You don't want to do that. It's like, wait, Philip? You're like, yeah, I'm a Canadian version of you from the future coming to warn you of the perils of AI destroying all art. And it's like, yeah, I'm aware of that. And you're like, well, I just wanted to say it kind of sucks. And I'm like, yeah, I'm with you. Landon said, it helps just to have it set up. Then you find yourself going over to it for fun. If you keep going on it for a few years, you'll notice improvement, even if you're not a naturalist. So here's the thing. I've told you guys, Chris Ware is, yeah, he said, Philip said, I'm the other dimensional Josh. Exactly. Yeah. Chris Ware, one of my favorite, if you haven't heard of him on every stream, one of my all-time favorite cartoonists. He is, an immensely talented ragtime pianist. And so you can look on like YouTube videos of Chris Ware just rocking like Scott Joplin. Like it's crazy. And he's like really good, which to me crosses into a territory of, I feel like you should have like almost like a talent tax. If you're like too good at too many things, you should be a little good at all things, but I feel like it's kind of unfair to be like the best letterer, the best cartoonist, the best colorist in comics, and also just be like a killer ragtime pianist. Like, I wish he was kind of like a mediocre, like garage pianist, if such a thing exists, you know. By the way, I'm kidding. I'm happy for him, but really, could you not be good at something? Okay. Anyhow, it's been a fun day. And I'm excited about the weekend because it's having a 3 day is going to be good for, you know, like tomorrow. I have a lot of catching up to do on all my homework because I'm attending school as well. So I have a lot of little homework stuff and crazy things to catch up on over the weekend. And then I got pages to like crank out like a lunatic. Like a lunar tick, like a tick on the moon. Have you guys ever heard that lunar tick joke? Because you're probably not regretting not having heard it. Okay, you know what? I was gonna try to do like the all over deselection process of this, and instead we're gonna go a little more reasonable here. Because that would just be insane. Okay. This is cool. I like the OBS straight stream. So anyhow, what are you guys up to this lovely Friday night? It's, you know, I'm going to try to color this whole page tonight. So we're going to stream, and my cutoffs is going to be like about 2. Landon said, if it makes you feel better, I'd consider myself a mediocre garage pianist, but I don't play it in the garage. It's in the living room. I've played piano like for tracks and stuff, like, but I'm like a cheat pianist where I'll kind of mess around on it, play a lot of bad notes, and then find like a little melody that sounds okay. And then just kind of like try to memorize it so that I don't botch it and hit the wrong thing. But, you know, and I've definitely done a lot of organ work on, you know, the black market. No, I'm just kidding. I just realized saying I've done a lot of organ work can kind of sound a little dark. But no, on the little, like, Like on a couple albums I've done like some organ, but that sounds like a little different, and it's a little easier because with organ you can kind of hold chords, and it's a little more similar than piano. Piano I know has chords too, but yeah, if it's not a simple melody, what throws me off about the piano thing, I feel like a drummer would be like, somebody who is a really good drummer would probably be able to pick up piano easier than like a guitarist. Maybe that's just me, or I should say than a non-shreddy guitarist like myself. Because the thing that amazes me with piano, Philip said, what we're using before OBS. Well, it was like a weird mishmash where there was a little bit of OBS and then a lot of StreamYard. And why we were using StreamYard was just like for guests. Like, it's such a better platform for like getting guests and stuff, or not better. Better's the wrong word. Easier for kind of having guests and stuff like that. And so Scott and I are going to have to kind of learn how to, there's like this thing that Corey found called like Video Ninja or something, and you can use it as a plugin through OBS to have guests. But that was the main reason. So it was like a mishmash. But to me now, I'm thinking it might have been kind of a crutch, because this just feels really intuitive. Although, like I said, I have to figure out the slapback issues, because the reason I have my headphones off is in my monitor. My monitor is delayed from what I'm actually saying. So when I'm talking, there's like a crazy slapback, which right now isn't a problem because I can just take my headphones off. But if we are having conversations, that's going to be a little hard to kind of get used to. Philip said, I have a similar idea of using Talk Studio, and you said I can see you're in 1080p. Your image is so much clearer. Yeah, I would imagine it's going to be a lot better in that sense. So it's just really figuring out the audio, and then also figuring out how to kind of loop a stream through it. Like, but I think Scott and I will figure it out by the end of the weekend. Yeah, so I don't know. I got to figure out a method. Maybe I'll just turn the monitor off for myself, if that's possible. I had a setting where I turned it on because I like to hear my voice, because it's just a good way to kind of see whether I'm coming through or cutting through, or like how close or far to be from the mic. But if there's a delay, I think just turning off the headphones from that, and then being able to hear the audio from guests and stuff might be the way to go, but I'll figure it out. It's just kind of a work in progress, guys. But anyhow, so I was mentioning guitar acquisition syndrome. So here's my problem is, like, I just enjoy looking at guitars. So, but that can very dangerously turn into more than looking at guitars, And so, yeah, the last few days I've just had that fever come over me. Like, the way I view it is like, have you guys ever seen The Wind in the Willows with like Toad? Let me see if I can find a meme of it real quick. Well, you know what? Let's not do the meme yet. I will show you a meme in a second, but I got to finish this panel first. So let me finish the flats for the panel I'm kind of currently working on first. And then we can kind of get into it. But there's a meme. There's like it's not even a meme, but there's like a picture when I forget what he calls it in The Wind in the Willows, but it's like when Toad basically he gets like almost like a sickness over cars, like he's just in love with vehicles, and so he gets this like swirly eyed, kind of like hypnotized look on his face when it comes to like vehicles. And I think he ends up selling giving the deed away to his mansion or whatever, just so that he can have a vehicle, because he's got like the sickness in him to like, anyhow. So I get that same thing with guitars, where there's just so many pretty amazing guitars, and I really like I like them aesthetically too. They all sound different. They're like there's so many different styles and kinds, and they're so fun to play with, I should play you guys a little bit of the track that I recorded too. We can test that out. So in a second. So what I'm going to do is, the first thing I'm going to do here is finish this this panel, and then when this is done, I'll show you guys what I was talking about with Toad. We'll test that out on OBS, and then after the fact, I'm not quite sure what I was doing with that line there. Like, there's a weird stray line, and I think that might have been a mistake. Oh no, you know what? That was hair, maybe? Let's find out. Hold on. You see how I shaded that? Okay, that was going to be a strand of hair. Okay, now I'm seeing what's going on. I was trying to think of, like, what was I thinking when I was drawing that? Yeah, okay, so the hair is showing through. So anyhow, what I'm going to do is, Philip said, I have audio issues with OBS, and my Mac that drove me crazy would never find an answer. So he said I ended up using Streamlab instead. Yeah, it took me a while. It took a couple YouTube videos to kind of get to where I'm at. Luckily, I was using OBS with StreamYard, so I just wasn't using the audio through OBS. So let's get this last part. We're almost done with 2 panels, guys. You guys are good company. Good company to have. But yeah, so I've just been looking at, like, all these different guitars that are just lovely and tempting. Okay, here we go. Okay. So we are 2 panels in. Let me put on the shading so we can kind of see it. And then I'm going to take a brief second to play you guys some music. And then maybe we'll try playing one of the Jim Lujan cartoons, because I think I can play that through here. Let me see if I can play that song, though. Because I think I can, in theory, just drag it in. I don't know why that minimized. Sorry, guys. Let me see if I can drag it in. And then change the audio settings so you can hear it. Okay, this is a song in progress, so there's only a verse, 2 verses, and I think 2 choruses that I've finished. But I believe if I go to it, and then I right-click, go to Advanced Audio Properties, and then go to 5, and I say Monitor and Output, close. Oh my gosh, I can do it. Okay, guys, let me know how this is. Oh, wait. There we go. Can you guys hear that?
Speaking fire, I'm a young man, well, not so young. I'm driving PCH, looking for medicine. Starting today, slow decline.
Let me know how the audio quality. Can you guys hear that?
If there's a mistake, then it's by design. Like ocean tides receding to divine. Anywhere to wait. Songs of angels speaking fire. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm
Philip said loud and clear.
Man, well, not so young. I'm driving PCH looking for medicine. I'm a young man, well, not so young. I'm driving PCH looking for medicine. I'm a young man, well, not so young. I'm driving PCH looking for medicine. Looking for medicine. Looking for medicine. Looking for medicine.
And that's as far as I've gotten on it, but hopefully that's good for you guys. I'll go ahead and delete that now. Can I delete it? I would like to delete that. It won't let me delete it. Interesting. I turned it off. Let's see if it lets me delete it now. Oh, yes. It says, are you sure you want to remove it? Yes, I do, because I was just playing it for that. And then let's try one other special thing. Let me see if I can find that Toad. Mr. Toad Eyes Swirl. Yes. Okay. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. Okay. I'm going to show you this because this is me with guitar acquisition syndrome. If it works. Maybe that wasn't a JPEG. Here it is. Okay, guys. I want to show you this. Can you see that? That is me with guitar acquisition syndrome. Let's just make it nice and big. And I'll put it under the frame so you guys can kind of see it. You see that? That is me. That's what I look like. I'm like, oh, it's we're gonna just get into this with you know, just looking at guitars and ooh, that guitar. Oh my gosh, I need it. Anyhow, that's that was I know the special effects on this show are phenomenal, you guys. If you're blown away by these effects, consider, you know, meeting our goal on the our chat goal. Okay, I need to get coffee. We've been going for it's a little tough here because I have no track of time. Philip said, LOL, I can understand that. So I'm going to try to play the Kemble files while I take a break to get coffee, okay? I'll be right back. So here it is. Enjoy.
Well, Mr. Striker, I have you now. There is no escape. You will tell me where the Kemble files are, or you will die beneath the crushing electric arms of my shoptopus.
I hear you chirping, little birdie, but JT Striker ain't no stool pigeon.
Very well. You have left me no choice. Bring out the doctor. Say hello to Dr. Hodges. I'm sure you're familiar with the doctor and his work.
If by work you mean the murder and torture of innocents, yeah, I'm familiar.
I've waited a long time for this moment, Striker. I'm going to enjoy every minute of it.
That's what your mother said.
Well, that's a horrible thing to say. You don't even know my mother.
Don't let him interrupt you. Come on, man.
Look, fellas, we can tango here all night, but it doesn't change a thing. You're never getting the Kemble files.
Oh, I beg to differ, Striker. I have certain negotiation methods.
Your mom has negotiation methods.
Stop it. That didn't even make sense. That's not even... It's not applicable.
Listen up, compadres, and listen good. Option 1, I'm giving you 2 bozos and out. You untie me, I walk out of here, and everybody goes home happy. Option 2, I kill everyone in this room and then...
You idiot! You killed him!
I felt triggered. I've been learning to stand up to bullies. I just read 2 stories. Joshua Kemble's raw, introspective graphic novel chronicling mental health, faith, and the struggle for redemption. I also read Jacob's Apartment, a coming-of-age graphic novel about faith, love, and post-college existential drama. They've changed my life choices.
I'm sorry, I had no idea. I too am a fan of the books of the Joshua Kemble. But I'm still going to have to kill you.
Kill me with kindness?
All right, so did that work okay? I hope you guys could hear it. That's my hope, is like that you guys, hopefully that came through beautifully. So that's cool for me to know that I can kind of do that too. We're going to just kind of keep coloring pages and kind of talk over stuff. So anyway, yeah, today, man, there's just some pretty guitars. And it particularly, like, so when I was younger, I remember, like, I think this is why people get guitar acquisition syndrome. I'm going to just talk about it a little bit. If you guys want to change the subject too, you're more than welcome. It's always welcome to change the subject if you need to. When I was younger, I remember kind of not having a ton of money growing up. And so the first guitar I got, I ordered from a Sears catalog. And this thing was like a piece of junk. It was called a Synsonics. And it was literally like plywood with, it was just like a piece of plywood with like 2 really bad, very microphonic, pickups. And just, I don't even think the fretboard was like rosewood or anything. I think it was just painted plywood. I think they just had like a slab of plywood that they painted black on it. And if you look up Synsonics guitars, like, you'll usually see like the version I had, except it was the more expensive version that came with like a little amplifier. But anyhow, it was a cheap guitar. For me, it was expensive even then. Like, that was expensive for me, but it was like $100 or something. And back then, budget guitars were like this kind of budget guitar was like awful. But I learned guitar on it. And then I remember mowing the lawn for a couple summers, and I had saved up, I would mow lawns for the neighborhood. Like, I'd take a lawnmower around, just knock on doors and be like, hey, do you want me to mow your lawn for like $20? And people would be like, yeah. So I'd like mow their lawn and, take care of it and stuff. And I'd do that like all throughout the neighborhood, like almost every weekend for a whole summer. And I had saved up enough to like get a guitar. So I go to, and not a nice guitar, just like a guitar. So I go to this pawn shop, and there, it's almost like this heavenly moment where I come across like this thing called a Squire 2. That's a Stratocaster, and it actually looks like a real guitar with a real neck. And at that time, we didn't have like guitar centers around here, so we had like little music shops, and the little music shops would charge, I mean, like every guitar was like crazy expensive to buy, so that was just out of my possibility. But I go to this pawn shop, and I see this Squire 2, and I just fall in love. It's like this white guitar, but it's kind of an off-white, like with like a metallic shimmer to it. And I still vividly remember, like, when I got that guitar, it was like the first time I had a real instrument, like, and I learned everything on that Squire 2, like, and suddenly, like, playing chords wasn't like painful, and going across the fretboard wasn't like cutting my hand, like, and like you could play notes. There weren't like a bunch of dead spots on the neck and stuff. So, that first moment of like having that first guitar is just like, it's forever the memory embedded when I look at guitars. And generally I get that feeling anytime I get a guitar. Like I I have this beautiful moment of that time. You know, I don't know if that makes sense. But because of that, you know, I've been looking at a Strat that is remarkably the same color, because I've never been able to fix up my Squire 2. Like, I modded everything. I modded my Squire 2. Just trying to bring back that guitar, because it died. Like, the pickups on it just kind of died. And then the output jack had all these issues. And then the tuners had all these issues, because it was like, you know, like a 40-year-old guitar. Because when I bought it, it was a guitar from the 80s. And I bought it in the 90s, you know, and then was just trying to kind of make it work. And my modding, like on every guitar I've kind of modded or refretted and stuff, it's been successful. But that guitar, for some reason, is just, it's communicated over and over that it's just not going to work. It's not going to get fixed, you know, and that fixing it would cost like a ridiculous amount of money. So anyhow, but I did get a Strat from Firefly, a Stratocaster, and it's funny because I'm a Telecaster guy. Like, that's my favorite guitar, is a Telecaster. But there was something about, and maybe you guys can chime in on this who do play music, there was something about the feel of the thing that I learned on when I got that Strat that like unlocked like a looseness in my playing that I haven't felt in years. It just felt like home, because that's what I learned on, was like a Strat. And so it's funny because I love, like, my favorite guitar is a Telecaster. I think a Telecaster is the ultimate guitar in my opinion. But something about that Strat just kind of felt great. And so ever since then, I've been like, well, this is a, you know, cheap Firefly. And my best experience on a guitar has been my American-made Telecaster from Fender. And so I'm like, well, what would like a real Fender Strat feel like, you know? And then, of course, I've looked at all the other stuff. Like, there's a guitar. I'm so sorry if this is boring, you guys. If you guys have other things you want to talk about, I would, in the chats, if you can, let me know what you guys are working on. That's always fun to talk about. I'd love to hear where you're at on your projects and stuff. But so there's a couple guitars I've looked at that are like Strat type guitars, because I like the Strat I have, and it kind of reopened my like love for Strats, which I thought I had put to rest years ago. But because that Strat from Firefly was so good, it just felt good. I gigged with it. Like, we played a show at Transplants, and I actually picked it to gig with because it just felt right for the material we were playing. Philip said, I'm not working on anything serious tonight. I have my tablet open and I'm just doodling right now. Drawing is working on something. Like, I think just drawing is good. Again, like, the more I'm teaching Art 1, the more I think that the creative act of making stuff and seeing, even playing with art, like playing and making something, is that's the good work. That's the thing we love doing. We should be drawing and sometimes doodling just for fun. That's the fun of art. So anyhow, point being, I've been looking at Strats now, and now I'm trying to like. So I've also just been like curious about Strats because I've been so focused on Telecasters, and that Firefly was so good that I've looked at like Strat equivalents. There's a thing called a Sterling Cutlass, and I have a Sterling bass, which is like a Music Man. Hey, RSC Arts. It's like Music Man has a cheaper brand called Sterling that bass just blows my mind. Like, it plays so good. It plays like almost like a Music Man, which is insane because Music Man is a really expensive brand and they make great basses. But anyhow, there's a guitar called the Cutlass that like everyone swears by, So I've been looking at the Cutlass. And then there's all these people who are like huge John Mayer fans, you know, and like Strat folks really like John Mayer. I don't like John Mayer's music particularly. I think he's a phenomenal guitarist, but I would never really listen to it. And so for me, this being a John Mayer related thing is like not a plus. It's kind of a minus. Like I'm not curious because of John Mayer, but there is a guitar that's like, you know, was a Strat killer for a little bit, called the Silver Sky by PRS. And at first I was like, ugh, like John Mayer. I don't know if I want a John Mayer related anything. But then I like looked at reviews and then I heard the tone of it. Oh, Philip said, a friend of mine sung a John Mayer song at my dad's funeral. Oh, well, I'm sorry. Then maybe you guys like John Mayer. And if that was like a kind of sweet moment, that's good for you. But yeah, like it's just, I don't know. He's just not my jam, you know? But I will say this, that guitar, it sounds almost perfect. And it's like, the thing that's weird is, by the way, I don't dislike John Mayer. It's just like, it's not on rotation, you know, for me. But I will say the thing that PRS does is they make really, really perfect guitars. And because of that, there's a part of me and there's a group of guitar players that kind of feel like it almost like lacks soul because it's too good of a guitar. It's like it's almost like it's hard to explain, but it's like they're really, really well made instruments, and but there's like kind of a lack of soul in the instruments, and so because of that, I kind of discarded it. But like more and more people that I really respect and admire have really sworn by this Silver Sky. And again, PRS, like if you're going to buy a PRS, you're dropping kind of crazy money. And at that point, I would just buy a Fender. But then PRS has a brand called SR or SE that's basically like a cheaper like budget version. And again, like all these guitarists are like swearing by it. So now I'm kind of interested in a Silver Sky. But I'm also coming to terms with like what that would mean, because there's something aesthetically I just don't like about PRS. And so it's like, if I have a PRS, what does that say about my soul? These are the things that I think about, you guys. If this seems like a sickness, it is. Like I think about guitars all the time. Hi RSC, welcome. I'm working on coloring this page. I found out recently, guys, that Not Death But Love is up on Amazon for pre-order, which is crazy. So we're getting there. We're getting real close to the finish line. You know, if you do pre-order it, I would definitely recommend doing the hardcover, because I think it's going to be beautiful. But you know, it's up for pre-order, which is cool. I'll be pushing that more, you know, and sharing the link and stuff as time draws near. But this project I've been working on for years, it's like we're getting there. We're getting real close. But anyhow, so yeah, that's the sickness. That's the thing that goes through my mind when it's like we're getting towards Labor Day. Now I'm like finding myself almost every morning, you know, I have my cup of coffee to wake up, and then I'm just browsing guitars, like, you know, and kind of looking at the Cutlass versus the Player 2 modified, you know, basically a Mexican Strat. Mexico makes really good Stratocasters. So I'm not really thinking about like springing entirely for an American made Fender. I'm not, you know, and that's how I rationalize it too, right? It's like, well, I'm not going to actually get the American one. I'll just get the, like, you know, and this is just how my brain works. It's like, that's been literally all morning is just, and then if I were to get the American one, what would I work with, you know, it just goes it just goes on and on. And then I'm slightly autistic too, so like I get kind of autistic about guitars too. Where it's just something I like, and so I get really obsessed and interested in reading all the statistics, and it's a thing, guys. It's a thing. But I'm telling you, for those of you who are into music, you know, I think I definitely think Landon's probably feeling me on this. It's like, if you have that music thing, it's just, you know, Labor Day can be dangerous, guys. I just realized, like, Philip, you don't get Labor Day. Do you guys have something equivalent to Labor Day? Like, what are or do you guys have Labor Day? Do you guys do Labor Day weekend? That would be cool. But I'm guessing that's like a US holiday. What would be fun to hear is actually what are specific, I don't think I've asked you, what are specific Canadian holidays? Like, do you guys have like go to like, I'm sure you guys probably have more holidays than we do, I would imagine. Being a little bit more of a progressive country. Oh, nice. Philip said, yes, we do. Pretty much the same. It's called Arbor Day. Okay, is it on Monday? Because that's great. Again, Union strong, guys. Union strong. That's one of the things that's always baffled me. You know, I don't tend to get political. Well, sometimes I do. Oh, nice. Philip said same day before school starts. That's great. Yeah, I feel like unions are just like, man, that's like the lifeblood of our country. And like, I know there's like criticisms and stuff people make of unions and stuff, but it's like, man, it's nice to have, like, to me, it's nice to have like a 2-day weekend. That's a union thing, you know? It's nice to have 8-hour workday. That's a union thing. Like, there's a lot of really positive things that unions have done, at least in the US. And I think it's sad that there aren't more kind of union related things. I am super thankful because where I am right now is a union thing. And it's like, it really is a game changer, like from like the free market to have like unions. It is so cool. I like absolutely love it. And I have a lot of friends who, you know, have gone into like construction and they've gone union, or people who work in film and they're in unions, and like it just makes such a big difference. That I would love to see like labor markets come back, you know? And I feel like maybe, in my opinion, maybe the left has lost touch with kind of labor. And maybe that's where it's lost a lot of popularity within this country. Because I do feel like labor is that's going to be the winner for like any potential future or whatever. Philip said the only extra holidays that we have, I think, is a May 2 to 4 weekend. Ooh, Victoria Day and Boxing Day. I think we might have. Well, I don't know. I don't know if we celebrate Boxing Day. I mean, we have Boxing Day on the calendar, but what is Boxing Day? That is the day to like box. Is that for boxing gifts, or is that like literally you get in a ring and start boxing? I'm showing my ignorance, guys. Okay, so we're gonna do this orange skirt. We're making really good progress, guys. I'm impressed by. It seems like StreamYard's running pretty smooth. I hope you guys are having an equally good experience, but like to me, the resolution's been better. It's free. That's another nice thing about StreamYard, or not StreamYard. OBS. OBS has seemed to be running better. I think I keep confusing the word StreamYard and OBS during the stream. Philip said it's a British holiday. I know you guys didn't originally have it, but I think you've adopted it recently. Yep. Yeah, it's anyhow, I hope we kind of get back to a focus of labor as a country, because I think that's just I think that's a winner, in my opinion, you know. So anyhow, we're getting this orange thing kind of done, and I was just obsessing about guitars. Yeah, so that's the thing that I've been doing lately is like every morning I've literally been looking at comparing stats on guitars, you know. And then I'm also just like really interested in like the companies and stuff. Like I'm a big fan of Yamaha a lot. Like I think Yamaha make incredible instruments. And I have one Red Label that I modded on a stream once that I was lucky to get for like dirt cheap at like a Goodwill or something. And then I refretted and kind of fixed up. But Yamaha in general just make like incredible instruments. Like they're really, I know they make motorcycles too, but for instruments, they're just like, they have a really good reputation, and I've never played a Yamaha that like sounded awful. And so I'm really curious about like their Revstar and like their kind of Strat knockoffs. And I don't know. It's just like it's a whole thing. There's also guitars that I'm really interested in. There's one called the Guild Surfliner, and that just looks fun, you know. So yeah, that's the thing about, I think, having an interest in something like that. It's almost like having an interest in cars, where I guess if you're like a car buff, like there's never really going to be a point where you just are like not interested in different kinds of cars and stuff. Oh, he was saying it was the day people boxed up extra leftover food and extra gifts to give to the poor. That is a very British holiday. Now that we've had an extravagant banquet, let's give this to the poor folks. Oh, I suppose we could give them the leftovers from our meals. No. Yeah. I'm sorry. I can't. I've lost all rights to make fun of British people, though. Like, it used to be really fun as an American to make fun of British, you know, because it's like, it's just, you know, it's old history, very American pride kind of thing, where you're just like, yeah, I don't know. The king, oh, I dare say, oh, I do say, good sir, could you box up our leftovers, because we are so caring and loving. Let's give it to the poors on Boxing Day. We'll have one day a year where we give them some of the scraps and leftovers. Yes. Our royal we are so kind. So anyhow, I used to do stuff like that just to kind of, you know, poke fun at it, because I'm a very American type dude. But I can't do that anymore. I feel like I've lost the right to do that. Like it's become not funny. And like because yeah, we're heading into kind of dark territories as a country, so it's not quite as fun to poke fun at England, because it's like, well, I mean, you know what I mean? I don't know. That's kind of as far as I'll go with that. But yeah, we're definitely heading into turf where I don't feel as comfortable making like British jokes, which is sad, because I love British humor, I love British comedy, and it was fun to do, but I dare say, oh, unboxing. That is still kind of funny, but it's not as funny. It's lost some of its humor. Okay, so we're gonna fill this color. I'm gonna just get the seat that she's sitting on. And I'm hoping that we can just kind of blast through all of these colors, hopefully before 2 in the morning. If we hit like 2 in the morning and I haven't finished the colors, I will have to call it, because I have realized that 2 in the morning is like my magic cutoff time. Like, my wife helped me figure that out too, but it's like anywhere past 2 and I'm like, I'm not as functional the next day. If I get to bed by 2, I can kind of wake up early, get things done, you know, and be kind of effective. But if not, you know, it can be a bit of a beast. Let me see here. I do want to see if I can find a space that tells me how long I've been streaming. That would be good too. Because that was another nice thing about StreamYard was it would kind of give you a heads up on like how long you've been going. And I have no measure of that now. So I guess that might be fun though. Maybe I can put like little break things up as things continue, you know. Let's see here. Okay. There we go. So but anyhow, the idea of Boxing Day is probably a good thing. It's probably good to give things to the poor. I just think it's very British that it was like one day where it's like, this would be our day to give charitably to the poors out there. Put it in a box. We're so sharing and good. But again, Philip said, my entire roots are British, and I can tell you they make fun of themselves that way more than Americans do. Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, British humor is my jam. I will say I have a lot of family that I don't know if you could tell from the horrendous teeth that I have. That on my mom's side, we extend real far back in the U.S. Like all the way to like the Revolutionary War on her family's side, but on my dad's side, it's like a ton of British. There's a lot of British. If you can't tell from the last name, there's a Kemble, England, and I think we even go back to an actress in England that was named Fanny Kemble, and then moved to the U.S. and then wrote like a book against slavery. That was pretty impactful. That I think is in my family lineage, but yeah, we go back pretty far in England. If you can't tell from the teeth are like the dead giveaway that yeah, any culture that had bad teeth, any country, like look at any country, any gene pool that had bad teeth, all kind of mixed in a giant swamp of horrible teethness and basically created the Kremlin. Philip said, all my grandparents came from England and one from Scotland, early to mid 1900s. Yeah, I think that's about the time that the Kembles, I think it was maybe the late 1800s that the Kembles, I think, ended up in the U.S. But it's definitely a few generations back. Like it might be like the early 1800s, because I know my father's side kind of came from Chicago. His father was a street preacher in Chicago. And then that's a whole fun thing too. My dad would have all these interesting stories about growing up in Chicago. Because he was born in Indiana and then kind of lived in Chicago for a long time. He played for Indiana State too. He was a second baseman, which is kind of wild. But anyhow, so he lived in Chicago as well, and like that's where he went to art school. Philip said, I haven't noticed your teeth, but I figured from your last name. Yeah, for sure. He said, I actually want to get my ancestry visa and more there for a while. Yeah, I was talking to Corey because Corey's pretty open about being Mormon, and I was kind of curious because Mormons have access, like the Mormon Church is actually really well known in the U.S. for having some of the best records of ancestry. Partially because it ties into like their religious beliefs, because they believe very much in like ancestral. I'm not entirely sure why, but I think it has to do with like the lineage of people has a lot to do with their position in the church. And so they just have like incredible ancestry records. So I was kind of curious because I do want to kind of dive into that and kind of see some of my early ancestors and stuff and see how much of it is like tales that I've like learned and stuff like that. And I think he was saying they have like an app that's like accessible to like everyone for free, that where you can like trace all your ancestry and stuff. So I got to re-ask him what that app is because he had told me at the Crestline Art meetup. But I think that would be fun to kind of dip into. That's it. The Family Tree app. Yeah, Corey, I hope I didn't put you on blast there. You say Corey's name and he appears. Corey's like, did someone call the Candyman? Oh, he said lineage doesn't relate to position, but I think it has to do with like kind of the connection to like Judaism, right? There's like a kind of, and then I think don't get me wrong, Corey, if I'm wrong on this, but I think it also has to do with the belief in baptism of the dead, which I think relates to like, if you can baptize the dead, like finding your ancestors is like a huge deal, so it's, anyhow, the point being, I mean, Corey would probably be able to answer more clearly than I would, but the point being the lineage and ancestry of people is a big deal. I believe Corey would back me up on that in Mormonism. And so because of that, like Mormons have just kept incredible records of people's lineage to the point where like a lot of historians really refer to it as well, which I appreciate. And I kind of want to access. I think it would be fun. So I'm going to look into that. Yeah, baptism as proxy for the dead as part of the gene. Yeah, so that's like, because they believe in that, like they take like crazy good records of lineage and stuff, which is a cool thing. This is why I feel like sometimes people who want like a like one religion system of government or system of society, like they want like a theocracy, I think they miss out on like the diversity that you get from multiple belief systems. Like Mormons have like incredible genealogical records. Catholics have like incredible historical records. Like there's, and they were persecuted a lot when they first came to the US. Like there's a real beauty, I think, in the US to like the idea, like one of the big founding key things of the US back in the day. I think nowadays that there is a lot of people who want like a one religion system in the US, and I think that can be real dangerous because the variety of religious beliefs has led to a lot of really cool things. I'm just saying it's led to a lot of really cool things and access to a lot of really cool information. And the idea that like there's a wing of people at least that seem to want to disregard the freedom of religion in the Constitution. And I think that's really dangerous because like that's a real fundamental kind of a founding point of our country. So kind of going against that is kind of breaking with the fabric of our society a little bit. And I think diversity is a really good thing. And I'm not making a claim that all religions are true, right? I think that would be silly, but the point being tolerant of other people's beliefs has its benefits, Yeah, Corey was saying single religious systems tend to try to destroy everything else. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. And again, I think that's sad because then you miss some of the diversity, and also you miss the it's like there's an old biblical idea of iron sharpens iron. The premise being like by like dueling with your ideas, like with conflicting ideas, you end up with a stronger version of your own belief. Like, if you never hear a good counter argument, you never get the chance to refine your argument, And so I feel like that's a big one. Anyhow, just rambling. But my point being, like, I really respect that about Mormons is the fact that they have such a good historical record of genealogies is a noble and good thing, And a good thing that if we allowed more religious persecution in the country, would not exist. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm getting at. Like, there's a lot of good things that would not exist if we didn't have that provision in the Constitution. So, yeah, that's my little historical nerd constitutionalist kind of thing, where I like the Constitution quite a bit. And hey, even my current job, I take an oath to it. Like, to teach in public schools, you have to take an oath to the Constitution, and I take that pretty serious. I'm not for taking oaths to things, and so the fact that I did is like a testament to how cool the Constitution is. It's a cool thing. I really like it. Yeah. So, yeah, take that. I don't know who I'm saying take that to. I think kind of preaching to the choir there, but so we are getting our flat colors done. We're getting through there. We got a good active chat. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and keeping me company while I'm making this. I'm going to kind of mention this to apparently not Death But Love, The Strange Supernatural Story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning is available for pre-order through Turner. So I think on Amazon. So that's cool. Kind of excited about that. That's good to see. Little scary. It's definitely real. It's real now. That's kind of a cool thing. Yeah. So, okay, let's get into the rest of the colors in this spot. I do want to play a video for a brief break because I need a refill of my coffee, especially if I'm going to be doing this till 2-ish. But first, I'm going to do this floor section. And yeah, I'm just excited to share stuff with you guys. It's always fun. And I'm glad the OBS thing is working. Hey, Corey, real quick, if you're in the chats, the official release date, I think, is going to be March of 2026. So we're aiming for March, and I think it's going to happen. Right now, I think our goal is to like kind of start getting the galleys put together. And so the pages that I have finished in, I'm going to be sending the PSD files to the design team at Turner. And from there, we're going to kind of like start really putting it all together, which is kind of exciting. So I'm not sure if that release date is going to be solid. It'll definitely be, I think the official date, like I think maybe the pre-order, but I think the official date is supposed to be like May. But yeah, I'll get you guys more kind of specific information about that. So Corey, while you're in the chats, if you have an answer to how to shut off the slapback that you hear on audio with OBS, because that was the thing that was throwing me off. I'm getting like delayed slapback through my like an echo through my headphones, so I'm not wearing headphones while I record. And I was wondering how, like, I'll probably look it up but Corey, you being you, I figure you might actually just know where to go on OBS to kind of shut that off. OBS cracks me up as a name because it does sound like, you know, somebody saying, hey, there's this really good streaming platform, and somebody's like, BS. OBS. Okay, guys, let's do the spoon here. Spoon man, play the rhythm with your hand. You guys remember that song? Something. And then it's the Spoon Man song had like a it had like a Spoon Man on the music video. It's like a happy Spoon Man who I think was like a famous spoon player in Seattle. That's right. Deep cuts, guys. Okay. I'm going to go get some coffee. And then we'll continue. So right now, I think I can play another video. So let's try it. Let's see if this works. What is this? Okay, I'm gonna try. Let's see if Frank's Adventures of the. Wait. Philip's here. Do I have Philip's video? I gotta label these better. Let's play this and see. Let's see if this works. Okay.
Hi, my name is Phil Chandler. I'm a freelance artist, illustrator, and cartoonist. Today, though, however, I want to tell you
it is working, but I think the audio's off, so I have to
Jacob's
hold on.
Apartment. This book was both written and beautifully illustrated by Joshua.
Okay, let me fix that up because that wasn't quite working the way it should. Let's see. Was that not working? That's so weird. Hold on. See, now I'm getting into it. So if I turn this off, turn it on.
Hi, my name is Phil Chandler. I'm a freelance artist, illustrator, and cartoonist. Today, though, however, I want to tell you about a graphic novel I picked up recently called
And then I'm
Jacob's
just going to fix the audio here.
This book was both written and beautifully illustrated by Joshua Kemble. It is the story of a doomed romance that causes the main character to question his beliefs and his faith, while he's also going through other tragedies in his life. Every
Can you
page
guys
has
hear
been
it?
illustrated by hand and digitally colored with painstaking detail. It is an emotional story that causes you to think and even question things in your own life. And while the story is a tragedy, it is one that I was completely entertained by and I highly recommend. You can currently find this on Amazon or even check in with your local bookstore and see if you can order it. And while you're at it, you can also check out my Instagram at Phil Chandler Arts and also my YouTube channel by the same name, Phil Chandler Arts. And go by Jacob's Apartment.
All right, did that work? I hope that worked. Did the audio come through too for you guys? I hope so. Philip said it looks a bit choppy. Okay. Yeah, I wonder what happened with the choppy. Oh, Philip said the audio was loud and clear. That's great. I love it. Thank you guys for the feedback too. It's great to know. Corey said, I had the same problem. I think there are 3 monitoring options. One of them should fix it. Let me check. So I think I would go to OBS preferences. Okay, I'm going to try this, guys. And then it's audio. And let me see what I have here. Monitoring device. Should I say built-in output and go apply? Does that work? Oh, that didn't work. Default. Apply. Okay, that was not it. Output. I'm just looking in audio. I know there's like a setting too, but mic auxiliary audio, that's good. Okay, so all of that's looking good. I think I have to right click maybe on. Can you guys hear me okay? I hope so. I might have disappeared for a second there. Advanced audio properties. Yeah, I'm not seeing where it is, so I'll have to mess with this at some point later just to figure it out. But Corey said there are 3 monitoring options. Let me see. Yeah, it was something to do with the Mac. Yeah, I could kind of see that. But there's got to be a fix. I don't imagine it being too crazy. It's got to be advanced audio options. And then this is my mic aux. If I say like monitor only, here's a question. I want you guys, I'm going to try this. Corey, when I do this, just tell me if you can still hear me, okay? Can you guys hear me still? I'm guessing that muted me, but if you can hear me still, that might actually be it. You can't hear me? Or you can? Oh, you can hear me. Okay, if you guys are hearing me, I figured it out. That's badass, because basically it just turns off my monitor, so I'm not going to hear myself through the headphones, which is, you know, not my ideal way to do this, but hey, you know what, like, at least that's going to get rid of the slapback. And so if we're doing streaming, Corey said I couldn't for a second. Okay, that's good, because I think you can turn it on to where you're only hearing the monitor. You said which option did you choose? So I just right clicked in the audio mixer area for anybody who's curious. Let me see if I can get back there. And then you go to advanced audio properties. And then for your mic auxiliary, you just turn the monitor off. So it says audio monitoring, and you have 3 options: monitor only, which mutes your output, monitor and output, and then which is what I had it on, and then monitor off. And by doing monitor off, it just fixed my issue. So that's great, because I'll be able to hear like Scott if we're doing a stream, or you, Corey, if we're doing a stream, but it'll still kind of work beautifully and seamlessly, like, you know, with me not hearing slapback on my own voice, which is exciting. So thank you, Corey. You just helped me fix it. Corey, you have a superpower, man. I feel like poor Corey is the unintentional IT department for the entire Artcasters community. Like, I feel bad having to ask him so many questions, but yeah, Corey's the reason I even knew about OBS. But now that, like, that's going to help. And then I will tell you guys, for streaming through GarageBand, it's going to be so much easier than what I was doing through StreamYard. So if I start streaming when I'm recording again, it's going to be really nice through OBS. It's just like a lot more intuitive. So I'm kind of thinking this is probably a good step anyway. I think Corey would agree with it, but I think this is probably like a much more positive step, because again, it costs nothing. There's more functionality. And I do think once we figure out the Ninja thing, it's just going to be like, yeah, it's just completely more intuitive. It's easier to share stuff too on OBS, I've found. I don't know about sharing streams. That's going to be the tough part, like sharing other video that's live. But Philip was saying, can you invite guests in it? Yeah, that's the thing. It's a plugin, so it's kind of complicated. But Corey did a really good video on it. Corey, you're a mod on my channel, so I think you can actually share the link. Can you plug that in for Philip? The link to your latest video that kind of goes over the Ninja thing. I'll probably be watching it tomorrow, because that's when I think Scott and I were going to try to touch base and just see, can we get this thing working. But yeah, Video Ninja. No, Corey, link to your video. Your video on YouTube, because that's the that kind of explains it really well. And I'd hate to like try to rehash what you already excellently put out there. This is great. So I'm sold on this because it cuts the middleman a little bit, and it's a little more direct. So that's pretty awesome. But yeah, Scott and I are going to have a couple things we have to set up. Like we need to get all our overlays and setups for our other thing, but I think it's good for Artcasters. Yeah. So for anybody curious, Corey put the link in the chats, and that'll just kind of get you to where you need to go. Also, the thing I'm going to have to figure out, Corey, is I don't know if I can stream to Twitch also. Like, I wonder, I'll have to look into it. But I think you can multi-stream from here too. So that'll be fun. And I think this is kind of cool, Corey, because I think if we get this thing going, one of the things I like about streaming communities is the ability for people to kind of guest on each other's stream. And I think in theory, this could help us do streams where we're each on our own stream, having conversations live, because I think that's possible. So bear with me on this, and I want Corey's thoughts on this. But the cool thing is, like, let's say Corey is working on his comic on Corey's channel, and he's doing a stream, but then he wants to do a conversation with me. Okay. Corey was saying probably not directly through OBS. Well, that's okay. I wasn't really getting any traction on Twitch anyway, so I'm not like gonna cry about it. You know what I mean? But I think I'm kind of a YouTube guy. I just think that's it's my preferred platform. But here's the thing: if like you're working on your comic and you're doing a live stream, right? And then I'm doing a live stream working on my comic, and we want to just kind of talk to each other for like 10 minutes or 20 minutes while still streaming in our own stream, we could pull up the Video Ninja thing, and I could put you on my screen small, and you could put me on your screen small. I think in theory, and then we could continue with our streams after our conversation, which I think is a really cool thing that, I think it's going to open up a lot of possibilities where we can start doing a lot of crossover streams, and kind of start building a little bit of community and traffic to each other's channels and stuff. I think that's something I always wanted to kind of get going. And I think this might open up those possibilities, for sure. So I know we're going to mess with kind of doing crossover live streams and stuff tomorrow. That's like something I will make time for a little bit. But Scott and I were kind of cracking up because the one downside of this is like with all our free time, and I know Corey knows what I'm talking about. Yeah. Where it's just, that's the only thing that's hard about learning new software is time, because I do feel like OBS, like I will give it credit for this, man. OBS is not crazy complicated. I do want to look into, I know they have a plugin that'll show chats. And Corey was saying it just creates a room with each feed as its own URL. So you can capture that URL independently from that. Yeah. So like, think about it. Like, if you and I wanted to have a conversation, and be on our own streams, like you could literally be running a stream with that convo on my stream while I also having it on your stream, and then cut out of the convo and continue the content, which I think is great. So I really like that. I don't know. I just think that's excellent. But yeah, I think it's going to be a game changer kind of doing this. So anyhow, I know it's like for people out there who are like actively live streaming, I think what we're talking about is not like rocket science. I think this is something a lot of streamers have been doing for a long time. But I think for some of us, it's completely new and fun. So And it's nice that it's also free. That's like a huge thing, you know, because I mean, we already pay like for Adobe subscriptions and all kinds of stuff. Like having to pay for, you know, streaming stuff is like, it's kind of a drag, you know. Let's see here. There are some complications, though. I will say, like StreamYard, I got to give it credit. It worked really well for the years that we used it. It's just kind of a shame. I don't know. Like they should follow the Sweetwater model that I was talking about, you know, because I feel like Sweetwater has managed to not price gouge people, and that's like kind of a like. They haven't like snuck in extra fees to get like a quick buck. They've built like this giant mega corporation just on like interpersonal relationships with people, offering value to customers. And it's like, if you do that, there's like no stopping you. But I feel like the second they start penny pinching and like trying to gouge people, it's like, I don't think they have enough of a monopoly on the industry to like pull that off. And aside from that, even if they did, I just personally don't think that's very sustainable. So I do think it's a shame they didn't kind of keep their costs down, because I think we would have happily stuck with using StreamYard for a long time if they had like maintained, you know, their cost structure. But just jacking up the price and offering like 2 bells and whistles in exchange just I think is going to lose a lot of people. And then it's going to force people to do things like this where it's like, wait a minute, why were we paying for StreamYard? Because like almost all that functionality with a little bit of work is like available on OBS, you know, and then OBS actually has more possibilities and you're not having to like pay extra to have high resolution streams, you know? Yeah. And then there's like all kinds of plugins. Like I'm pretty sure I can find a plugin that'll show chat. It's gotta exist. Okay, sorry guys. I know I'm kind of talking shop, and it may not be the most interesting thing in the world. Oh, it says YouTube is not receiving something. Did I cut out, guys? It says it's not receiving enough video to maintain something. And I can't tell what that means. Is this where it cracks? Is this where we see like a crack in the seams? Okay, Corey said you're back. So I froze for a couple of minutes. Okay, so I guess there was some kind of issue with the stream. But hopefully it just kind of continues and gets like smoother again. Cause it was like, oh, okay. The connection's back. Okay. That's cool though, because OBS, didn't do that before. And ever since I kind of got it all set up for the stream, the nice thing about this is when I would have a delay like that in the past on StreamYard, I would have like no idea it was happening till chat told me. But this has that active monitor on there that lets you know if you're cutting out, which is great. So I'm excited about that. Sorry about that lag, but I feel like this has still been running smoother than my last few StreamYard things. Doesn't hurt that I changed my Photoshop settings too. But yeah, I feel like yeah, the possibilities are pretty open for like what can be done with this, and I'm pretty excited about that. Because there's, you know, I like streaming, and there's things I want to do that I think are going to be a little more intuitive to do through OBS alone. Like for instance, showing myself working in GarageBand is actually less complicated. I think just using like a window capture and then a route for the audio. I actually think that'll work more seamlessly than the way I was doing it through OBS mixed with StreamYard. So I'm excited about like the streams that are to come. If my voice is cutting out, you know, Corey will know why. But yeah, when you teach, man, I gotta say, like, I am so ready for a 3-day weekend, because like there's a couple things. One is like you teach a lot of kids and you're around just like sick people, like a lot, you know, because it's a lot of sick people. So, and I don't mean sick like, you know, they're disturbed. I mean like literally, you know, colds and all that kind of stuff. So your immune system just goes through like a huge test for like the first 3 weeks. And then not only that, just all that talking for like when you've had like a summer off is like, you know, you get kind of, yeah, your throat just like, you know, today at least my throat is just like torched from teaching. I remember that I think it was the first year that I taught college, I would lose my voice a lot. And I feel like my voice has gotten better at being used to talking for like long periods of time. And, you know, luckily there's a lot of studio time in an art class too. So I lose my voice less teaching art than I did in other subjects, where it's much more reliant on less active learning, you know? Okay, guys, we're going to kind of save this. Okay, I have 3 panels left to go, guys. 3. You guys have hung out with me for 3 panels. The other panels are a little more simple, so I think we're getting closer. And let's try to see if I can get another ad going. So why don't we play a good old classic, which is Frank's Adventures at the Library. Oh, Corey said when I first started, I wasn't ready for projecting my voice for 6 hours a day. Yeah. And that's the thing, like, you know, 6 periods, 6 hours. It's like you definitely have times where you lose your voice for sure. Okay, let's see if this works. I'm going to try another one. Here is Frank's Adventures at the Library.
Our heroic adventurers fought orcs, monsters, sorcerers, necromancers. Now they find themselves in front of a mystical library. What shall they find? It's all in the roll of the dice. We've come this far. There's great power behind this door. I can feel it. We just have to get past it. This door is no match for my axe. I shall chop it down. You always want to use brute strength. Why don't you try knocking? We'll try it your way. You may enter. The library is open to all those who seek knowledge. Feel free to look through our tomes. Maybe you'll find the answers you seek. I sense great power here, and it's behind those shelves. Indeed, there are powerful items hidden behind these shelves, but you can only get there through the enchanted words. Do you have those words? I believe I do.
Tremble before the Krembo.
There is great power. Look at that glove. Must be so powerful. That is not where I sense this power. I must get closer. I found them. I found these sacred manuscripts written by Joshua Kemble. Behold, I now possess 2 stories and Jacob's apartment. Please tell us more about 2 stories and Jacob's apartment, and who is Joshua Kemble?
Xeric Award-winning cartoonist Joshua Kemble is a freelance artist, graphic designer, and author. 2 Stories is a confessional graphic memoir that grapples with questions of faith, mental illness, depravity, and ultimately redemption in a fallen world. Jacob's Apartment is a coming-of-age graphic novel in the vein of Ghost Road and Fun Home. It weaves together the threads of spiritual faith, identity, purpose, love, and loss to create an engrossing world in which waking and sleeping dreams collide.
All right, so I'm back. How's it going, guys? Kind of becoming more and more of a reality here. This book. We're we're going to kind of get it done. My goal is to try to finish these panels, and these ones I feel like I can do in kind of my reductive way. So one of the things I like to do with like more kind of simple panels is to kind of hand select each color and just kind of take it out of the equation. So it's like working reductively, which is kind of a weird way to color. But I feel like in this scenario, we're probably safe to do so. But maybe we'll just go panel by panel, because that seems to be working pretty well, and it's making me feel a little like, it's funny, there's different approaches to the way you can kind of do flatting, and I feel like whatever approach kind of keeps you awake and interested, that's the approach you should take to you know, kind of the paneling. That was going to be red. This will be white, so let's pick that. I'm basically just selecting everything that's white in this image. But I do feel like we're going to have... we're making pretty good time, guys. It is wild how much time comics take, though. Comics are beautiful, though. Like, here's the thing. I love comics. I feel like it's a great medium. It's kind of like perfect for storytelling, and there's just something beautifully unique about comics, you know? Oh my gosh, why is this not... I was trying to reduce, and for some reason my shortcut was not working for that. So let's see if that'll work. This is the like third time I've drawn this this arm. So it's been a really crazy journey kind of making this book, and continues to be, you know. It's a test of willpower, I think. And I think that might be kind of the fun of this type of thing. It's like you're kind of testing your own limitations and ambitions and stuff, you know. Okay, here we go. So let's get into it. I'm gonna get that red color in there. We'll kind of deselect that. Yeah, this is definitely going to be a 1x1 thing. We'll finish each panel separately, 1 by 1. I'm excited about a 3-day weekend. I kind of am a fan of the idea of 3-day weekends in general. I remember reading about Henry Ford. I think Henry Ford was one of the main reasons that, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is at least my perception, is that Henry Ford was one of the reasons we have like a 2-day weekend. And it's because he started implementing it in the Ford factories. And he was just telling the president at the time, like, dude, you guys should do this nationally, because, you know, I know it's crazy, but like you give people time off and then like they come back and suddenly they're like 1,000,000 times more productive. And his goal, apparently his suggestion was that eventually it should be a 3-day weekend, because they had just done a lot of studies, and it's like, it's funny because businesses even know this now. About like office jobs and stuff. And you guys all know it intuitively from working in workplaces where there is a cap point of an 8-hour workday. And don't get me wrong, like in teaching, this isn't even possible. Like you can't have dead time in teaching, especially teaching like high school and stuff, because dead time just means like just disaster. So you kind of have to fill the time like bell to bell with education and interest and stuff like that. But a lot of jobs are like answering emails and kind of office-y jobs. And in jobs like that, like there is so much lost productivity in-house. Like people waste so much time doing like things that aren't really productive at all. And it turns out that like, you know, Ford was having this problem in his factories too, where he'd work people really hard, and he realized like, it's crazy. You just give them 2 days off and suddenly they're like a million times more productive. And his ideal thought was like that it would be a 3-day, that he thought that was kind of the ideal. I think I agree with him. I think people would be far more productive with a 3-day weekend than they are with a 2-day. And I feel like society, I know it's weird, but I actually think like we'd probably have much more productive workplaces if like a full work week was 32 hours as opposed to 40. But that would take like a total restructuring of like our system. But I do think like people put too much of a premium on, you know, hours worked as opposed to what is done during those hours. And I feel like if people really, I don't know, it's a weird thing. It's like an old hang up where I think people are really stuck on this idea of, you know, you need to do more days are better. And it's like, but imagine like cutting out like one of the work days and how much more effective like meetings would be, because you're condensing it. So you have less time to have waste. I don't know. To me, I'm, you know, selfishly thinking it's a good idea, but anytime I've read about the idea of like a 3-day weekend setup for like society in general, I from what I've read, it doesn't seem like there's any studies that kind of maybe I'm wrong, but suggest that like the current system we have is better for even productivity's sake. Because I do kind of think if you treat people well, you give them a sense of ownership over what they're doing. I think Sweetwater is a really good example of this. I know it's weird, but it's like, from what I've seen of Sweetwater, they treat their salespeople really well. They train them. They encourage them to build relationships with their customers and stuff. And you've seen just this insane growth of this company. I think if you treat people well and you give them buy-in in what they're doing, and a sense of ownership, and also you kind of accommodate lives, like I think you tend to get better work in return. But when you treat people kind of like cattle and you know, shove them in a room and say you have to work 40 hours a week, be productive, like you actually, I think counterintuitively may not get the best productivity out of those people. And also we're going to need to rethink these systems, because like this is the thing that I think is kind of sad, that like people are so closed off to change. You know, automation will happen and will cancel a lot of jobs. Like it just will. It continually will. And so I think rethinking how we're valuing things, like beyond just like, I don't know, I think we need to kind of rethink a little bit of how we're approaching commerce and approaching humanity. And I think treating people as humans is kind of a good start. But yeah, we're going to need to kind of think of systems that go outside of just like what we've been doing. Because even if you think about like the weekend was a revolutionary idea. It just was like wild. Like societies before that, the idea of like a weekend is insane. Like, I don't know if people realize like how revolutionary that was in the course of human history. The idea that you're going to have 2 days off. I mean, 2 days off. Oh my gosh, you know? What an insane thing. But then I also think there's other cultures, like agricultural cultures, where you really live by the fields. You know, you live by the timeline of like when crops are you know, when the sun's out and stuff. And so I think it's like weird because I think it on one hand, adversely, we're like working less than we used to, but we're also like kind of conversely working more than we used to in ways. And it's kind of like, I don't know. Anyhow, I don't really know where I'm getting with that, but I just think there's got to be a way we can like open-mindedly pursue some things, like maybe a 3-day weekend. And I say that non-ironically, like I really do think 3-day weekends would be probably beneficial, because I from what I've observed, at least in office work, because from what I've observed, man, there's a good day out of the week that you could subtract from an office and get the same exact productivity from people. But there's a lot of people who work in offices that are just really good at like wasting valuable resources and time and you know, playing busy. And it's like, I think that's sad. Like we should cut some of that time and give it back to people. But in order to do that, like you'd need to pay people better, you know, and maybe consider systems that aren't like just based on like, you know, the hours on the clock kind of thing. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how that changes. I also don't know if I'm just talking nonsense while I'm working. I don't know. But it seems like to me like there's got to be a better way. A more humane way. Because like my job now I love, and I don't really have too many issues with the hours that are involved in it. And again, I feel pretty lucky because it's like union, so that's good too, because that kind of keeps it honest. But it's like I'm just thinking like previous jobs that I've worked that are in like kind of office environments. Like it's kind of insane, some of the things in office culture that don't make a lot of sense. And no one's willing to change or rethink. And I think it's kind of amazing that, you know, that initial change kind of did come from like industry and unions. All right, guys, we're getting closer. We're getting closer here. While I talk, while I wax with ideas that I'm not entirely sure about. My hope is to get this done by, you know, 2 a.m. at the latest. I was expecting it to take less time, but if you guys have been watching the stream long enough, you know that's kind of part and parcel for my work, where I'll convince myself like no, I'll be at this for like an hour, and then it's like 4 hours later. You could put on the little SpongeBob sound effect to 4 hours later. Let's see here. Projecting voices, though, I will tell you, like, talking, like projecting your voice, and also the energy it takes to, I do think with teaching, it does take a lot of energy to present, because a lot of the time you're trying to kind of create and project enthusiasm for what you're enthusiastic about. To me, it seems like that's pretty exhausting too, where you're just like for me, when I clock out of that, I kind of like the amount of energy to like project is pretty tapped out, which is why I take naps quite often when I'm off of the clock, before I kind of have to power through like some more juice in the in the juice kitchen. I don't know, guys. I don't even know. Like, I don't know where that one was going. I do know that I'm stoked that OBS is working. I'm glad that we found kind of a system that works. I'm pretty happy with it. I hope you guys have been enjoying the stream. You know, as we've rowed our boat gently through the stream here. Oh, I was thinking about that song. I know this is nothing profound. I'm sure people have thought about that song before. But have you guys ever stopped and thought about like the Row Your Boat song and like how like strangely like existential that song is? Like, do you know which song I'm talking about? The Row, Row, Row Your Boat. That is a dark song, you guys. That, like, if I think about it, that's just kind of a creepy, dark song. I wonder if it was initially intended to be. It's like calling into question your existence, that whole song. You're rowing your boat down the stream and life is but a dream. What is this? What is this nihilism in a children's song? Don't worry, guys, life is just a dream. That's a dark statement for like a little children's song. A lot of those songs are really dark. Like there's the Ring Around the Rosie song, and I think that was initially about the Black Plague, like the bubonic plague, which is insane. Because the Rosie is like the pustules that would happen when people got the plague, which is it's just so dark to think that it had hit Europe to the point where kids had like nursery rhyme songs about it. You know, and then Pockets Full of Posy. I think that had to do with like the flowers that people would carry to like smell less bad as they were decaying because of the. And then the Ashes to Ashes, I think was literally people's like bodies being burned during the Black Plague. At least from what I've heard, maybe I heard the wrong thing with that, but that is some dark stuff to think. If you think about the fact that had to have hit Europe so hard to become just like a nursery rhyme that we all learn when we're like children, you know, and it passed down because it was just so omnipresent in the era, you know. I don't know, like imagine somebody had like a cute nursery rhyme song about like COVID, you know. It's that big of an impact. It's very strange. Yeah. So Philip said, I'm doing a puzzle and I'm still listening. And after I'm finished, I'll likely turn in. Well, we're getting closer. You know, if you want to hang till the end, I'm going to speculate that it'll be about 20 minutes. But you also are not forced to hang till the end. But yeah, here's a question. Why don't we have dark, twisted, nursery rhyme songs anymore? You know, I feel like nursery rhyme songs were real back in the day, you know, where it's literally like, yay, we're all getting the plague. Like, it's so weird. It's so disturbing. And then, yeah, I don't know, just some of the origins of those old nursery rhymes. I feel like, what happened to our nursery rhymes? But then again, like, aren't we happy that we're in it's probably a good thing that we're in a world where we don't have like really twisted nursery rhymes that kids learn. And they're just like, oh, this is a fun game. We're all playing, you know, people who got the plague. Like, it's just dark to think about. I don't know. Because I'm trying to think like the first kids at a playground coming up with that, you know, must have just been faced with like so much like craziness around them that it just became like playground games, you know. Anyhow, I don't know why I was thinking of that. Oh, it's the Row Your Boat Down the Stream. Like, I do not understand how that is a comforting song for people. You know, I feel like that's a really dark song. Corey was saying, because we have mass communication now, a lot of those were subversive ways to spread word about powerful people in a coded way. Yeah, for sure. That's true. That is true. Maybe we'll have to return to like secret messages in children's songs. That might be our future soon. Who knows? All right, guys. We got some hair. But that's a good point, Corey. Yeah, like people would have to kind of pass the news in like different ways. And then also kids, you know, you got to really think like kids were seeing like, I mean, what didn't the bubonic plague like kill like a third of Europe or something? It was some ridiculous number of people who were affected by that. So like there is also just a harsh reality that like those kids were probably just seeing some just like devastation all the time, you know? And I'm guessing that in like war-torn countries and stuff, you probably would see a really similar thing where, you know, if people are just experiencing war and death all the time, like they're probably going to come up like kids always play. That's the interesting thing about children, you know, like they're very resilient. And you know, kids will make games out of everything. So like if their experience is that dark, you know, Philip was saying, hey, I've been meaning to ask, what kind of tablet do you use? A really crappy Wacom tablet. Yeah, I get like kind of like a real cheapo Wacom. You can get them used for like $40, but part of it's my preference. That's a good question, Philip. But part of it's my preference because I don't like having a screen on my tablet. Like I've gotten so used to the this way of working because I worked in house doing that I just don't feel like having a screen works for me. Yeah, Corey was saying we're very removed from death and modernity, and I think also in the West, like we, like it's always kind of been interesting to me, like cultures that embrace death a little more. And I'm not saying death is a good thing to embrace. I don't think death is good in any way, but I do think we have, there are cultures and times where people have been a little more, a little less in denial about death in general. And so like when I hear of things, even like the Day of the Dead, I think that's probably healthy to have kind of, things like that where you actually are sort of like aware that it's something that will be coming, you know? And I do think our society is very much a stay productive and ignore that as a topic kind of society, which has worked well for commercial reasons, like, you know, keeping people occupied and busy. It might even be good for mental health, right? Because if you're occupied and busy, you're just not quite thinking about this like dooming thing that's looming around the corner. But I do think a healthy society will probably have what brand or model? Yeah, it's a Wacom, and it is this one is the PTH 451, but it's just, I think it's just like a small Wacom Intuos. Yeah. And you can get these for real cheap. Like, however, the drivers, with Mac, at least with my Mac, because my Mac's so old, I can't really install the new OS. The drivers for Wacom just conflict so much with, my operating system that I have to like reinstall Wacom drivers like every single time I turn on my computer, which is a little annoying. And people who are like not fans of Apple would probably say it's by design. Because one of the big criticisms people have had about Apple for centuries, well, actually, is it centuries now? decades, not centuries. I don't think Apple was around a century ago. But for decades, people have had the complaint that Apple, or the theory that Apple designs their products to fail at some point. And I know it's called a Wacom tablet, but I think it's pronounced Wacom, but I still say Wacom. Because Wacom sounds like whack-a-mole to me. And I grew up calling them Wacoms, so whatever, Wacom. Although I know Corey's done work for Wacom, so is it Wacom or Wacom? He said I got an old Intuos I got 10 years ago. I thought I'd try playing around with it again, but I can't with the new operating system. For me, it's with the old operating system that's the problem. If I had a newer OS, I'd probably be able to rock a Wacom. But for me, it's actually the Wacom's drivers are newer, and my problem is I just can't update my OS because, I'm on an old Mac that just cannot handle it. But yeah, like what Corey was saying about, I think maybe I'm fantasizing about it or something, but I do think there's a healthier way that culture could deal with, entropy. Like, just older ideas, like the kinds of ideas of like stacking up wealth, in a big bank vault. You kind of can't take that with you when you pass. That new things will become old, just like some basic like truisms about life that are slightly depressing to think about, especially if we live in ignorance of them. I do think that maybe there's cultures that have a healthier approach to it. Like I do think like the Day of the Dead is a beautiful thing. The friends of mine who grew up kind of with that, I love the idea of honoring the dead every year, remembering the lost. I even think like, gravestones and things like that. These are healthy things. I definitely also think like being obsessed with death is probably not very healthy. But I think being in denial of it is just like a really silly thing to do. Just personally, that's my opinion, like dwelling on it may not be a good idea, but yeah, being in a culture that just almost ignores that it's even a thing is, I don't think that's healthy. That's my point. But I do think there's a fine line between that and maybe it's not great to have elementary kids like running around singing about death. Like that might be a little darker. Like I think maybe that's a positive that we're fortunate enough in our society to not have to, have kids like singing about, yay, we're all going to get the plague and die. I don't know. That's probably an advancement. Okay. It's about 1 a.m. right now. We're finishing up the last panels on page 161 of Not Death But Love, The Strange Supernatural Story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning, which is on Amazon. You can order it. Yeah, so Corey was saying it's Wacom, but again, I'm going to call them Wacoms because, again, that's just what I've called them forever. I'm going to just call them Susan. That's what I'm going to call them. Sorry, I don't know why that seemed funny to me. I thought it would be funny if somebody was like, well, I'm just going to call this my Susan. That's what I'm gonna call it. You can call it whatever you want. Actually, naming your Wacom tablet may not be a bad idea, right? People name their guitars, you know. There's famously B.B. King named his guitar Lucille, you know. He had a beautiful 335 kind of modified guitar, and you know, very famous guitar that he nicknamed Lucille. Why don't artists do that with their Wacoms, you know, with their Wacom tablets? Be like, good old Betsy here is just rocking the good old reliable here. I don't know. You know, pilots name their planes. Why don't we name our art materials, you know? So we're just deselecting the hair here. I'm going to do that in the second panel. We're going to be done real soon, guys. I'm thinking in like maybe 15 minutes, which is pretty exciting. I really appreciate you guys keeping me company while I'm working on comics. I hope you guys got a lot done. Corey, where are you at? Like, what are you working on? Because I know you finished your chapter of your section, not chapter, like part 1 of Rage of Enlightenment. What are you working on now? We're getting there, guys. But yeah, children's stories were like pretty dark back in the day. I remember the first time I read the actual original Snow White story. It's so dark. Like the evil queen, right? Ends up like dancing on hot coals for like eternity. Like the 7 dwarves make like these iron shoes that have like a slot under them for hot coals, and they basically make her wear them and dance on hot coals, you know, for eternity. And I was like, that's the end of the original Snow White, is like, oh good, we're gonna make the evil queen dance on hot coals. What was another one? Little Mermaid. That one had a dark ending. I think in the original Little Mermaid, she turns to salt. Like, she just dies. Like, and so the original Little Mermaid was like a tale parents were telling to their kids, like, hey, you leave the water, you know, where everything's good, and you're just you're gonna die. Like, if you like, they pretty much like had this warning tale to like their kids, like, don't leave for Prince Eric, you know, it might seem really nice, but yeah, that guy, you'll be turned into a pile of salt. Don't make deals with you know, with evil you know, mer women or whatever it was. The you know, it's been a while since I read it, but yeah, I remember being really shocked. Like, the original Little Mermaid, like, it was a tragedy. You know, it was a girl chasing after what she was not designed for, and basically suffering and dying for it. It's crazy. And that's the original Little Mermaid. Oh, sea foam, that was it. I thought it was salt, but yeah, foam. Oh, Corey's writing part 2, trying to figure out how to raise the stakes in a logical way. And he said writing a insect fable. Yeah, I could get into that. I feel like whenever you have a fable inserted into a story, it's really poignant. But then, like, if you're gonna have a fable within a fable, I can see why that could be a challenge, because you really want it to be you probably would want it to be some kind of allusion to what the grander themes of the book are. I know it's silly, but even in Jacob's apartment, there's like a theme of bees tying throughout the story. And the initial description of bees that's happening over the television when Jacob is watching TV, I remember that being a really big part where I had to really pre-think how the story was going to go. Because that's like an illusion. And I know it's not like the deepest one, but that took a while to kind of craft. And I remember up until that point, that was a story I kind of wrote as I went, but that helped me really figure out like the direction it had to go. Almost dooming the romance from the very beginning in the background with a little illusion, you know? So yeah, fables within fables can be real. It can also be used for misdirection, you know? Corey, what I would do one of two things. One is the fable seems like it's an allusion to the bigger story and is like if you have a tragedy that you're writing, then maybe you make the fable give people hope with the fable that you then crush later on when they're reading in you know, so that it just hurts even more when it doesn't work out. Or you could have it be like if your story has like a relatively like tied ending that's a little more of a happy ending, you could have it be the doom fairy tale where it makes people worry that it's an allusion to like the horrible ending. So it's like a misdirect. That's one way you could go. Philip said the XP pen screwed him. How did it screw you? Did it at least buy you dinner first, or it just went straight to it? That was a really old joke. I'm sorry. That joke was awful. Awful. Like an awful falafel. All right, we're getting there. Here we go. And then boom. Yes, queen. You guys, we're going to paste this. I'm going to print this up after the fact, but we have finished the live stream. So I'm going to go back to the main picture here and say thank you guys to everybody who tuned in here. It's been fun. It's always fun to hang out with you guys and to see just that OBS worked and that you guys were down to kind of hang out with me. And thanks to the chat too for helping me out, because I wouldn't have known if like the audio was working or any of this was working out if it hadn't been for you guys. So there's going to be a lot more content coming up. I will probably be streaming a lot tomorrow. So if you haven't yet, hit the bell so you get notifications when we're about to go live. You might want to, I mean, if you're interested in the book I've been working on for the last few years, Not Death But Love, The Strange Supernatural Story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning, historical fiction graphic novel, probably the best thing I've made art-wise for comics. Look it up on Amazon because I think it's available for pre-order from Turner Publishing, which is wild to me. That's wild. But you definitely want to get in on the pre-order there. And I'll mention more about it as I learn more about it. And aside from that, I really appreciate you guys. I hope you have a good night and sleep well. Corey said several characters need to decide whether to keep or break their vows. Either way, people around them may die. I like the stakes being higher there. Tying into larger themes is hard. You will break through it, Corey. I've always seen you overcome those hurdles in brilliant ways. All right, guys, thanks, and I will see you on the next live stream. And I guess I just have to figure out how to end this. Do I just hit stop streaming? I think I just hit stop streaming. So I'll see you guys on the next one, and appreciate you. And I'm glad this worked out on OBS. So now No need for StreamYard, at least for this stream. All right, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.